Welcome to this off-the-shelf episode. During this episode, we are meeting once again with Kirsten Karchmer, the author of Seeing Red, and we're going to talk off the shelf. Welcome, Kirsten.
So that means about whatever we want.
Yeah, we just like to visit with her, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's see, what have I been working on? I've been having fun on TikTok, working on a lot of fertility stuff, and it's really fascinating. You know, I do a live show every day on TikTok for fertility. And one thing that I've been noticing is that, you know, I worked with over 10,000 women when I was still a reproductive acupuncturist. And that was over 20 years, and now like 5,000 in the last couple of years extra. And what I'm seeing is younger and younger women coming into the show saying, oh, I'm 21 years old and my AMH, which is the measurement, the blood measurement that tells you approximately how many eggs you have left, is like 0.01. And it should be between 1 and 5. So 5 would be appropriate for like a 21-year-old girl. 1 means almost no eggs left. And I think it's really interesting. It was one of the reasons why I was excited to get to come and talk again, because I think that that women and people with periods should be checking their cycle day 3 labs about once every year, every other year, whether they're trying to get pregnant or not. Because what's happening is if you're paying attention, it does tell you how your reproductive body, like they're called cycle day 3 labs, it tells you how your reproductive body is aging. And we don't really want to look at that. And as a society, we're like, don't look until, you know, even with fertility, like if you've been trying for a year and you don't get pregnant, then you should test. Well, a year when those numbers start getting bad could be the difference of you getting pregnant with your own eggs or having to do donor eggs. And so somebody's like, oh, I've been on a career path or wasn't in a relationship, and then now I'm 36 years old or any age, and then you start trying and you don't get pregnant, and then a whole year passed. Well, maybe you were okay to still get pregnant with your own age this year, but then a year later, the numbers have gotten too bad. And then there's catastrophe, right? They're like, especially these younger people with periods who are in their 20s that this is happening to, and they're like, but what happened? How did this happen? Why didn't anybody tell me to test this earlier? And if we had known when they were 23, even that they look suspiciously low, we could be freezing eggs, right?
It also makes me wonder, like, is this a new trend? You know what I mean? Is this pollution? Is this diet? Is this, right? Like, is this a pattern, a new, you know?
I think it is a pattern. I mean, men's sperm quality is dropping by 1%, like, I can't remember the stat, like every 5 years. That's astronomical. And actually there's a study out that actually one of the factors is skinny jeans.
I know that actually, because their testes are all hot and bothered. It's because their nuts don't get to be cool.
Yeah.
Nuts is the correct word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their legs look cool. Their opus cool.
Yeah, but their balls are
not their nuts.
Their balls are not good. Their balls are not good. Yeah. So I think it's a combination of, you know, like the people that work with me, they do a conceive report, and it's this like super detailed assessment. And I look at everything. One of the things that I ask them is like, do you use plastic water bottles? Do you use any air freshener, Glade plug?
Oh, you're frozen.
You froze on us.
Oh,
we
and then
locked
she
on.
dropped off the shelf. Kirsten is now off the shelf. So,
But she'll be back on the
off
shelf
the shelf.
soon.
Hopefully she'll be back on
Hopefully.
off the shelf.
Oh yeah, not on the shelf.
Book interrupted.
This interruption is brought to you by snow. Isn't it beautiful? I'm so excited. It's all happening. Okay, bye.
Book interrupted.
No, oh, hi.
Hello.
You're back.
I have no idea what happened. Just like my computer just went, "Doo," and I was like, I have charge. And then I tried to join on my phone and it wouldn't let me. So anyways, back to you guys.
No problem.
Okay.
I think this idea that I think that there's a lot of reasons why that we're talking about Glade plugins and Febreze and all those things, and even receipts from the grocery store. Like the research is abundantly clear that BPAs, which anything that has fragrance in it, but particularly like Febreze or plugins or plastic water bottles, Tupperware, any of those things. And then plastic, the receipts that you get from the grocery store, they contain BPAs. And they did a big study where they just took a bunch of women and men who were doing IVF, in vitro fertilization, and they just measured the amount of BPA in their blood. And then they looked at the outcomes, and having high levels of BPA in your blood, which a lot of them did, like absolutely correlated with higher risk for failed IVF and miscarriage, both at that and impact for sperm quality. And just a receipt from the grocery store, this is my mission now, it's like handless receipting. The receipts from the grocery store has 250 to 1,000 times more BPAs than a plastic water bottle. Never touch those fucking things. I always want to have some tweezers when they want to give it to me and be like, it's like radioactive shit.
What's the plastic in it? Like, is it just paper?
It's a thermal receipt. And somehow through that, whatever chemical makes the thermal receipt piece is the thing that you don't want to touch. So every time I see a young girl who works at the grocery store, I'm like, never touch those, wear gloves. But
maybe that's why I'm infertile, because I worked at a restaurant for my whole life and touched those things all the time. It's the same receipt kind of thing. So
yeah, if it's the printed out kind, not the old kind.
Yeah, the ones that fade if you keep them for a while.
Yeah, that's right. All restaurants have those. That's what restaurants have. So I've touched millions of them. So
right, because you don't have to buy ink, right? Because it's just the paper is the paper.
And you burns it or whatever.
So yeah, never touch those things. They're really bad. And I always complain every time to the manager whenever I go to the grocery store with her. I'm like, you need to do something about this. Trader Joe's does not do this, and you're hurting your employees and your customers. Who they're hurting is the future of the species, because when you impact people's fertility, you impact the offspring of society. And so we know that like epigenetics, like genetics are impacted by epigenetics, which are all the factors outside of ourselves: diet, lifestyle, behavioral health, all those things. So
we were just talking about this in the last conversation about epigenetics and trauma, and it lasting like 7 generations, right? 7. Is that the number, Kim?
Yeah.
Wow. Lindsay, what's going on with your fertility?
Oh, it's done. We're way over that. Yeah, that's not happening anymore. Oh no, I'm 42 now. And my partner is 53. So if we had a kid now, it would be shocking. And also we would be very old parents, especially him. It's fine. It's the way that it is, and that's what happened, and nothing I can do about it. So you just move on. Like, I'm not dwelling on it or worrying about it. And, I'm a good aunt, and that's fine. And at this point too, like, I think I think it would be very difficult after everything that I went through. And I don't like to call it trauma, but I suppose trauma, if it was hard, to do that. So, but there's always triggers. Like I think there's 3 women who I work with who are a little bit older that all are pregnant right now at my work. And they're all like talking to me about it. And they're like, are you okay? Because a lot of them know. And I'm like, I'm fine. I want you to share this with me. But, it's never easy. But
I think we really underestimate how traumatic it is. I mean, even like there's research that shows like that people have PTSD after they go through the fertility journey. Part of it is because if you get cancer, your neighbors in your church come and fill your house up with food, and they clean your house for you and whatever. And if you have, struggling to get or stay pregnant, people just fucking blame you. Well, if you weren't so fat, or if you weren't so skinny, or if you didn't work so hard, if you didn't have such a high profile job, or if you didn't work at the grocery store and touch receipts, or, like just whatever you're doing, instead of helping you. And so I think it's a really lonely journey too. So
it is. It definitely is. And I think it's all the whole thing, like sitting in the room and all the needles and your hormones going crazy. And like, there's so many things that you go through in that. And then with your partner and trying to keep that relationship going. And then who do you tell? And so you're embarrassed about it and you feel like it's your fault, as you said. And then, I don't know. And so, and then you still get your mother who still talks about you know, if I'd had grandchildren, like there's, you know, there's a lot to talk about in that topic, but
none of it feels supportive, right?
No,
Not
no,
one
and
piece, anything you just said like has any effort of like love or support. It's all just like breaking you down just a little bit more.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also just, as you know, we talk about, people don't talk about these things. We were talking about miscarriages in another episode. We need to talk about these more so it's open, so that it's, you know, we're comfortable about it. And I mean, even talking about periods, my one other boss, or my sommelier that I work with, he made a joke the other day, just saying like, oh, because I said something about my period. He's like, yeah, I know, every single month because you talk about it. And I said, well, yeah, because I think we should all talk about it every month, because then it becomes normal. So then therefore, you know, there's more money that goes into research. There's, you know, I'm sure this is all things that you know, but yeah, get me on the soapbox or whatever. I'll yell about it.
But yeah, also it's nice to talk about, because you're like, yeah, today I might need a little bit more support at work, right? And then, right, just being in the know, and then your coworker may also need support on a different day for something different, right?
That's why I say it.
And that's just the thing, right? Let's just be honest about what's going on.
Like, I'm tired, my brain's not working as well, I'm in a lot of pain right now, so I'm sorry when you ask me something and my eyes kind of go glazy. It's because I'm trying to think while being in extreme pain. So
you know, and I think it's like, I just think the world would be just a much better place if we did of all the things that we teach children, can you get super clear on what you need or want, and I'll get it for you, or I will try my best. I'm really not interested in just bitching, right? Just too much, because then when people want to give you what you want, right? And so even if it's your period, you're like, I just really don't feel good today. Can you just be like a tiny bit extra sweet? And what I learned from my mentor, who is very funny, she's an older lady, and she's like, honey, men are very simple. She goes, you know, that little, I might have told y'all this before. She's like, men are like that little wood triangle that you use to hold the door open. She's like, they really do want to please you. She goes, they don't know how. And she's like, and they need explicit instructions. She goes, but first you have to identify what you want and need. And it can't be, I need more attention, because that means nothing to them. You might as well be saying, they're just like, what? So if you need more attention, what specific, and it feels so bad to like lay it out, like, I would like you to text me 2 times a day and send me flowers on Friday. Like whatever it is that would communicate that. She's like, then you ask for it. She's like, then remember, triangle. She's like, they're going to make an effort that they think is going to be Herculean, and it's going to be really bad. They're going to text you at 4:00 in the afternoon because they're going to forgotten. And you're going to want to be like, fuck off, man. You can't even get it right. Like I had 10 and 2, and I get a 4. She says, no, you praise effusively. Any effort, praise. No matter what they do, you praise. And you're like, oh my God, you made an effort. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. Yada, yada, yada. You just say, that was so good. I love that you sent me a text to take. She goes, and that would be even great if you even sometimes would send me one at 10:00. She's like, and then he's going to send it at noon instead of 10:00. And you're going to be like, you're a fucking idiot, man. What's wrong with you? And you're going to say, oh my God, good job. Little door stop. And
little door stop.
She goes, if you just keep reminding yourself, that is how sophisticated they are. Door stop. They just need reinforcement.
I have such a problem with that. Like, it makes me so annoyed, because this is where I'll say my problem really is. Their mother should have trained them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to train my partner. He's my partner. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're saying it, I get it. I'm with you with the, like, they can't mind read. We're not the same. They don't really know. Like, you do have to be specific, like all of that. But then I want them to have responsibility for their performance. And if it's subpar, like, step it up, fucker. Like, so it's just hard for me to, because you're like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want another child. I have a partner who I want to partner with as we attack life or whatever it is that we're doing. So I'm not maybe fully against that they need to be trained, but I think we all got trained at some point. And so again, I blame the mothers then, or maybe the fathers. Maybe they should have stepped up too, and their mothers and their mothers' mothers, and like
7 generations. Well, no, but here's where I'm going to challenge you back on this though, because Kim, the thing is that like their mothers can only train them to like nurture and love them in the way that they want to be nurtured and loved. And so I think that we have to train them like what feels like love to us. And so, and especially because men, they're just not as emotionally sophisticated. They can't know what it is. It's just like with sex, like, you know, everybody can get trained to put the dick in the hole, right? But it's like, there's a whole, with women, there's a whole lot of other fun that can happen, right? So I told my son, I'm like, look, your thing's just a pole, up and down, gets the job done. I said, a vagina is like an ecosystem. There's just like, become a master of the vagina and you, in all things will be good.
Become a vagina whisperer.
But don't actually whisper into it.
No, maybe whisper into it a little bit.
Well, speaking of which, who's tried the womanizer?
Is it a dildo?
I haven't tried it yet, but I really want one. It's not a dildo. I think of a dildo like a wiener thing, but it's a vibrate. It's a sex toy.
Okay.
That goes on the outside, and it gently blows and sucks until you have an orgasm.
See, whisper.
Wow.
That's what they should have called it, the pussy whisper or something.
Yeah.
But if you just go for fun and read the reviews on Amazon, people are like committing suicide practically over. They're like, this thing just blew my head off, literally blew my head off. I was reading the reviews and I was like, I'm definitely getting one of these. This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
What's it called again?
The Womanizer.
The Womanizer. It's a bad,
terrible name.
Could have.
I didn't like the name either.
Right?
I actually didn't like the name either. But I guess if you're womanizing yourself, you're like,
the only one who womanizes me is me.
That's what the ad should say, something.
Yeah.
Right, but like a womanizer, actual womanizers with a lot of women, right? You don't usually share your sex toys. I mean, sometimes, but with specific people, maybe. Not with like, you know.
It's true. I don't like the name either.
You have a VIP list for your vibrator.
Speaking of which, there's an
sign up
interesting,
form.
like, there's an interesting
sign up form.
like history of the vibrator. Have y'all seen that?
No.
Just for off the shelf. So it turns out that like, okay, you know, like when women were having PMS that, you know, like, I don't know what the year was, probably in like 1918 something, I don't know. You know, they said that they were hysterical. And this is where the word hysteria come from, hysterectomy, all that, because they got crazy from their periods. Well, at some point, I'm thinking like 1880, but I'm just making this up because it's been a while. I want anybody to email me like, oh, it's 1730 or whatever. I don't know. I don't know the date. Doctors figured out that a good orgasm would really quell the hysteria. So they would prescribe for their patients to come in for a little hand job. And they would literally like get them off themselves manually in the doctor's office as a prescribed treatment. But then the doctors were doing it so much that they started getting carpal tunnel.
Gotta go to the doctor again.
Right.
Daily doctor appointment.
I'm feeling really hysterical. I'm going to need to go again. And so then the doctor started getting carpal tunnel. So this one doctor like made a fucking machine, and it was basically had like a little, you know, probe thing on it. And it had a steam engine. It was like a train. Like basically took the technology like a train. And it was, I'm sure that didn't work as well as the hand.
Get up a piston thing.
Exactly. And thus was the beginning of the dildo.
What a step backwards too, right? Like it went from like whatever kind of moves that gave someone carpal tunnel to like
slam you. Boom, boom, boom.
They're like, and the women are probably like, then that was probably the beginning of the faking of the orgasm, right? They're like,
yeah, totally.
All right. I like to think
hysterical anymore.
I like to think that the doctor would give them like the like steam horn to blow when they are done.
Oh my god, that would be so funny.
I think there's a TV program or something that they did about this. Oh gosh, what was it? Give me a minute and I'll think about it.
Can you imagine? Like, let's just say you and your husband, especially in that time, there were a lot of arranged marriages and stuff. Maybe they weren't that compatible. Can you imagine if you like went to the doctor and they did this for you? You're like, oh, I have to go to the doctor again today.
Like,
I'm feeling hysterical again.
It's time for my 12 o'clock.
Or these poor women going back to their husbands and saying, honey, let me show you something that's really gonna like amp it up. And the guy's being like, no, I just want to like stick it in for 5 seconds and be done, you know? Like, I don't want another chore list from you.
Chore list.
Like,
you're hysterical. Back to the doctor.
Okay.
All right.
Like, yeah, it started like encouraging hysteria.
It's like,
well, then
doctor.
Then you fast forward to like the 50s, and I found ads. Women, so that was, remember, like the age of like Beaver Cleaver, and women are like all perfect and clean, and their houses are all clean, and you know, my mom was one of those moms, and so then that was when like women started douching a lot, and all this like sanitization language and everything came up, and women were douching with Lysol.
Oh no!
And Lysol even had ads, and like these are like kind of like a woman, it'd be like an illustration, and she'd be like laying on her chaise lounge, like, and the husband would be like sternly like walking out, and it would say something like, if only I'd used my
Lysol,
yeah. Oh, he's storming out because I'm too, you know,
dirty
or whatever. What the hell?
Lysol.
What a world, eh?
I figured out the show. I'm
Okay,
looking.
good.
Oh, good.
It's called Masters of Sex. It is about some doctors who were pioneers of the science of human sexuality. Okay, so this is a bit different.
I heard that's very good. That show, though, is really interesting.
Yeah. I started watching it a little bit, but I don't know what year. Maybe the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
That's my guess. But I'm really not giving you much information, am I? And this is too long to look, but there you go. So something similar. But women used to go, that's the part that I saw, that the women would go to the doctor's office too. Maybe they were just studying it. Not
having an orgasm.
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you do for a living, doctor? What kind of a doctor are you? It'd be great for like dinner party conversation.
Yeah.
I treat hysteria, and I'm very good at it, but I have carpal tunnel now.
Maybe you want to come for a treatment. And then the husband's like, yes, dear, you should go for a treatment.
I'm working on my left hand technique now.
What are the ladies talked about it later?
Just could you imagine
try out my doctor?
Like the first time that a lady went to the doctor and he got her off, and then, you know, she's like going to her friend, she's like, you're not gonna believe what great thing happened to the doctor yesterday.
You gotta try.
Or maybe not. Maybe she'd be like, I don't want to, that guy's a creep, you know?
That's
maybe
true.
She's like,
that's true.
Go
How
to
many
that
times have you
doctor.
been to a doctor and you're like, oh, I wish he'd like get carpal tunnel with me? Never.
Yeah.
No.
That's true. Never.
Crazy.
Yeah. You're hoping your exam is over soon. You're not like, oh, stay down there a little longer.
Yeah, but your exam isn't enjoyable.
If you've enjoyed these video highlights, listen to the full episode on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to like and subscribe and ring that bell to be notified when new episodes are published. Find out more by going to www.bookinterrupted.com.
On Book Interrupted.
Never forget, every child matters.